Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Roach, the principal of Highfield Junior School, and I'm joined here today by our vice principal, Jasbir Tatla. It is our absolute pleasure to welcome all of you here today. Jasbir and I would like to extend a very, very warm welcome to our distinguished guests, which include Premier Ford, Minister Calandra, Minister Bethlenfalvy, Interim Director Stacy Zucker, and Interim Superintendent of Education Mike Gallagher. Thank you for being here. Highfield is a reflection of the very best of Canada. Yes, the very best of Canada. We are a tapestry of different cultures, religions, and abilities. We are a family in the truest of sense. At Highfield, we believe that every child belongs to every staff member. The most powerful learning happens when students feel known, seen, and valued by adults who care. Our talented teachers, special needs assistants, educational assistants, and custodians don't just teach, they mentor, they inspire, and they care for every student as their own. We strive to make learning joyful and to build an inclusive environment where every single child can belong, achieve, and strive. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce our first speaker. Please join me in welcoming the Minister of Education, Paul Calandra.
Well, thank you so much, Principal. It's really nice to be here at Highfield. It's always nice to get into the schools, and let me just start by thanking the teachers and the educators who really are the backbone of the entire educational system. You know, parents just want one thing. I think parents want the same thing that teachers want, the absolute best for the kids that they teach, and the parents want the absolute certainty that their kids are going to have the best opportunity to succeed. And without our teachers, without our educators, and everybody involved in making a school a safe, welcoming, and a place where you can learn, we wouldn't have that. So I would really, really want to thank all of you. And again, thank you, Principal. It's through your leadership and your team's leadership that we're able to have some of the best educational, some of the best schools in all of Canada right here in the province of Ontario. I also just briefly, I'm here obviously with the Minister of Finance and the Premier. He'll probably give credit, but it's the credit for all of this has to do with these two. They're the ones, one who makes the financing work, and the other one who gives you permission to do things. So I'll just say that in advance. Look, it has been no secret that there has been a lot of challenges within the educational system across the province of Ontario, but we've been completely focused on one thing, and that is ensuring our students have the best opportunity to succeed. And by doing that, we know it is that we have to give our teachers the resources that they need to help our kids succeed. When I've gone into classroom after classroom after classroom, it is teachers, educators who've told me the same thing. Give me the tools that I need, and I will give you the absolute best from our students. That's all we are asking for, and that is a lot of what today is all about. So again, thank you so much for everything that you do. Let me just promise you this. The Premier, when I took the job, said make sure that you do everything you can to give our students the best opportunity to succeed. Support our teachers, and don't ever hesitate. Don't ever hesitate to get in there and put things back on track. That's a little bit of what we did with Bill 33, and we will not hesitate to step in when we see that education has moved from student focus to something other than that. We will continue to step in and do what's right by our educators, do what's right by our students, parents, and families. So again, thank you so very much. And with that, it's my pleasure to call on the Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Minister Calandra. You're doing such a great job. And you know, every time you talk with me or with our colleagues or out in the ridings, you talk about wanting to do more to make sure the record investments we've made in education end up in the hands of teachers for the benefit of pupils and parents. And you're doing a remarkable job in that regard. A very humble man. I'll be introducing shortly the 26th Premier of Ontario, and it's a pleasure to join him. Principal Roach, you know, you delivered some great remarks there, so she was a little bit nervous. I thought she did an outstanding job. To the teachers here, we all have a teacher that shaped who we are today. You know, I can remember Mrs. Rashkovsky, my kindergarten teacher. Mrs. Winter, grade 1, Miss Orr, grade 2, who really taught me math, grade 3, Mrs. Ferguson, grade 4, Mrs. Harmer. I could go on. And I just met my grade 9 math teacher at the high school reunion, Miss Ross. Now she's Mrs. something, but I remember her as Miss Ross. And she remembered me from 100 years ago. And she had such an influence on me in teaching me math. I had so much respect for her. And here I am today as the Minister of Finance. And it's a privilege and an honor to be able to support this announcement, which will empower teachers, you folks who are impacting our children's lives. You know, you're having such an influence. This guy was influenced when he was 10 years old or 8 years old. It shapes who we are. So thank you for your service to the children of Ontario, to the parents who love their children, to all of Ontario. From the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful for what you do day in, day out. You're so fantastic. And none of this would be possible, folks. The teleprompter person is having a real challenge because I'm not sticking to the script at all. My apologies, whoever's doing that. You know, none of this is possible without the great leadership and ideas coming from the Minister of Education, who is pushing more to our teachers, to our frontline workers, for the benefit of our students. And the guy who makes it all happen, because none of this happens, folks, without the leadership and the vision of a remarkable individual, the 26th Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford.
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. I love going to these schools, especially my hometown, my entire life. And I'm just blessed that we've been able to represent Rexdale here for 3 generations, 3 decades. And I can tell you, I always tell our educators, our teachers, when I see them out there, I just told them again, I couldn't do your job. It's incredible, the job that you do. And we're very, very grateful. And I want to thank the Minister of Money. I call him Money Bags, but he signs off on all the expenses, and we need to focus in the classroom. And you know, Minister Paul Calandra, most modest person you want to meet, it's his idea. Simple as that. And Principal Roach, thank you, and thank you for having us at this beautiful Highfield Junior Public School. You know, I always say we know, everyone in our country knows we're under attack for tariffs and economic uncertainty, that we know that President Trump is going after us. And I was telling the students, they said, what's your most favorite part of the job? And I said, I have many parts of my job, but my number one job is to protect Ontario, protect the students, and protect the people and the communities and their parents' jobs. And that's our key focus. And I always say the foundation of everything that we do, funding education, healthcare, infrastructure, roads and bridges, is one thing. It's our economy. And without a strong economy, nothing else gets funded. So we're really focused on that, cutting red tape and making it easier for companies to come here and invest, so we can, in return, invest in the future of our province. And the future of our province is right here in schools right across the entire province. And I'm just so proud today to announce an idea that Minister Calandra came up with, and we've all seen it. I was in a store with my assistant Julia, and where was I think it was a Dollarama, and I was in there, and I met a couple educators, and I said hello, and they're picking up school supplies, and they're paying out of their own pocket. And you know, sure enough, a couple weeks later, same scenario. I met a few teachers, and I offered to pay for them. I think I paid for one, but the others said, no, that's fine. But the days of teachers having to, put their hands in their own pockets to pay for school supplies, those days are done. And what happens, folks, money gets transferred, and it goes to the school or the principal, and then they distribute a small amount. And again, Mr. Roach, thank you for everything you're doing here. And this community means everything to our family. When people call and they're from Etobicoke or Etobicoke North or anywhere, they go right up to the top. They jump over the 6,000 other phone calls just to make sure they're okay. You know, we're going to announce today a purchasing card, and Paul, you can elaborate more on it. But every teacher, every elementary teacher in the province is going to have something like this. This is a $750 supply card, so you can buy supplies for the classroom, and that's going to help out tremendously. You know, I was going to go, I'm doing the same as them. I'm totally ignoring the teleprompter that we've invested $30 billion in building new schools and all the other stuff. It's all nonsense. What matters is what happens here in the classroom. So $750 to every school year to ensure the teachers have the tools they need. Just like Minister Calandra said, you need the tools. And this is the first time, believe it or not, the first time in the history of Ontario, they're going to be able to go out and go online. And it's probably going to be through a website, probably Supply Ontario, because we have bulk purchasing power across the province. And they're going to be able to pick up the supplies. But even further, it's not us that is going to decide what the teachers need. It's the teachers that are going to decide what they need, because every class is unique. Every class may be different. And we're going to be out there. All of our MPPs are going to be going into schools and talking to the frontline educators and getting a list of what they need. So then in the school year, upcoming school year, they're going to be able to go out online, register, and then be able to distribute the $750 within their classroom. And so I'm just so proud. I think this is the greatest thing I think we've ever done for public education. It's going to be from JK to grade 8, so it's going to be the elementary schools. And again, I just want to thank everyone from Highfield Junior Public School. And again, I keep emphasizing the educators and teachers. Sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter what political stripe you are. You could be from the orange, the red, the blue, the green, and everyone takes their turn in government, and sometimes there's a little controversy. I can assure you 1,000%, we love our teachers. We love the jobs they do, and because you're right on the front lines. So again, I thank you for the job you're doing, and I guess we'll open it up for Minister Calandra. Do you want to go a little more detail about the cards?
Few names or do it now?
Okay,
Sure.
yeah, sure.
Sure. So I'll just add on to the premier. So as I stated, all educators will get a card. It'll explain to them how to get online. It'll be a porthole that will be established through Supply Ontario. Later today, teachers in your inbox, you will get a survey from the ministry asking us what types of supplies you would like to see on it. To the left, you can see a sampling of the things that we think from talking to all of you of what you will most likely want on that supply. But rest assured, we are going to all of the very same places that you are going, educators are going, to ensure that we have anything and everything that you need so that you can go online and have it delivered directly to you. To the principals, I will say this, a lot of principals said to me, shared their frustrations that sometimes the teachers had, that were put in the middle sometimes of being able to provide supplies to the classroom. That takes the principal out of that challenge and gives it right to the teacher. You get what you need to support your students in the classroom, and this will be available to all educators, homeroom teachers beginning September of this year. So look for the survey. If there's something that we have missed, you see some of the things on the table, something we've missed, put it on, because we want to make sure that you have everything that you need to help your students succeed. And I guess with that, we can take questions. Yeah.
We will now take questions from the media. Media can come to the microphone and state their name and outlet. Just a reminder, the format is one question, one follow-up. First question.
I want to give these to the teachers in the room later. These are going to be collector's items one day.
Hi, it's Chris Rishowi from the Toronto Star.
Where are we
I was
here?
just wondering, rather than providing cards and setting up a website and a procurement process and maybe checks and balances, would it not just be easier to provide schools with direct funding to pay for things like paper products and tissues and paper towels?
Great question. That's what's happening now, and it doesn't get to the frontline teachers. And Paul, if you want to jump in and elaborate on that.
I mean, that is a good question, and the Premier is ostensibly is correct, right? And it often puts the principal or vice principal in a challenging situation. But I've crisscrossed the province. I've talked to a lot of teachers. Almost every single teacher, every classroom I go into, they tell me the exact same thing. I need to have the ability to order things for myself so that I can address some of the needs in my classroom. And it's not like it's what the Premier says, walking in Dollarama and seeing a teacher, the same thing happens to me at the Stouffville Walmart. I always run into teachers who are out there buying something. So this cuts that out. It uses the buying power of Supply Ontario with all of the exact same partners that they will go to, and not just a limited. We've heard from teachers as well. I will say this. From a lot of teachers say that the platform that they go to right now to buy supplies is far more expensive than if they were just to go to Walmart or Dollarama and buy that. So what we are going to do is bring the purchasing power of the entire province of Ontario together, offer more, offer it at a lot less cost, and let teachers go online for themselves to buy what they need for their classrooms, and I'm excited about it. And this is, again, Premier gives me credit, I give him credit, and with Finance Minister pays the bills, but this is an idea that literally came from teachers in classrooms that we have visited, and anecdotally being at Walmarts or Dollaramas and seeing what's going on and saying, okay, this is just not good enough anymore, we can do better, and that's where it came from.
And how did you settle on the amount of $750? Because I found a couple of jurisdictions in the U.S. and they provide $200 and $500 usually just for first-year teachers.
Yeah, well, we want to do better than anybody else, frankly, and we know the challenges that teachers have been facing. If I just stray for 1 second, I just want to really quickly congratulate the Italian men's national baseball team, if I can, who defeated the Americans last night at the World Baseball Classic, and will have a difficult time for the Americans to come out of the pool because of the Italian men's team. I got a lot of questions and comments from my relatives in Italy who are very excited about that. So sorry, straying from that, but baseball is American pastime, and now they're not going to make it out of the pool. But anyway, I digress. Look, we want to do better. Our teachers, our educators, they work very hard. And in discussions with them, they said, look, this is about what we need. It's not about, it's an amount that makes sense to them. If they don't use it in a year, it'll roll over to the next year, and they can continue to use it. This is what they need, and we're going to give them what they need in the classroom. This is what all of the reform is about. It's about student-focused, teacher-focused, and giving them what they need to succeed, full stop.
That's great. I think we got to emphasize it will roll over to next year. So they'll have the supplies if they don't use it all. But we had three levels, the 250, the 500, and 750. And it took everyone about a half a second on our cabinet to say 750. It'll be the highest in North America. Well deserved, I'll tell you. Well deserved.
Hi, Premier. Liam Casey with the Canadian Press. Question for you and for Minister Calandra. Is this a way to placate teachers ahead of contract negotiations?
I find that question insulting. We don't placate anyone. We appreciate our teachers. They're incredible people. I tell them all the time. Like I said earlier, I can't do their job. Negotiations are negotiations. That's through the union and the ministry. But no, that's I love our teachers. I tell every single one of them that I love them and I appreciate the job they do. Very few people could be an educator and then go home and do all the marking and everything else and da-da-da-da-da. So anyways, next question.
So there's a bunch of education groups at Queen's Park who represent pretty much all of the education system, and they are asking for you guys to consult with them ahead of any decisions on trustees. Will you do that?
Well, we're just reviewing everything, and I'll pass this over to Minister Calandra. Our core values, we need to make sure everything goes inside the classroom. That's where the students learn, and that's our key focus to support the students. And even at a very young age in elementary school, getting them ready for their next step in life, which is high school. And then the next step, either they're going into the work world or they're going to college or university. But we want to make sure that they're ready.
Look, almost 40% of the population, the student population in the province of Ontario is under the control of the Ministry of Education right now through supervisors across the province, and that ostensibly is to ensure that classroom funding is maximized to lower down the temperature that we had seen in advance of supervision. Honestly, my main job, frankly, isn't to listen to people who want to advocate to maintain their position. I think my main job as the Minister of Education is to talk to students, to talk to parents, and to talk to teachers, to talk to educators. What is it that you need to succeed? For me, as both a parent and as a Minister of Education, and the mandate that I've been given from the Premier is, we want better. You know, it's fine and dandy for Ontario to be arrogant about a $43 billion Ministry of Education budget. We can go around the world and say, oh, we're one of the highest budgets in the world. But if our students aren't succeeding, and if there's a problem that stops them from succeeding, it's not our teachers. We know that because we have some of the best teachers in the world. Absolutely. So what is the problem with the system? And that is what we are going to solve. So I say to all of those who are involved in the system, teachers aren't afraid to tell me what they need. That's what today is about. Principals have not been afraid to tell me what they need. So I would suggest to all of those vested interests, the trustee associations, put first students, put parents first, and then give me your advice based on that. If it's just about saving your job, that's a non-starter. But if it's about how we can make the system better, then we'll listen. But it has to be about student achievement, full stop. Without that, then no, I'm just simply not going to listen. And on your first question, look, as Minister of Education, my job is to make sure our teachers get the absolute best deal possible. But as a member of provincial parliament, as a member of the government, it's also I have to put the other hat on, making sure that we can pay for everything that we do. And the Premier gave me one mandate: student achievement through better resources for teachers. And that's what we're going to focus on. Full stop. Sorry.
No, that's good.
Good morning, Premier.
You know why it's good, Paul? It's the truth.
John Jefford, CBC News. Premier, I just wanted to follow up on Chris's first question there. I think a lot of parents and teachers are accustomed to the notion that, they're using their money to buy things like toilet paper, tissues, paper towels. But if you are a regular Ontarian who's not plugged into the school system and doesn't know that's the state of play, how are they not to blame you and your government after 8 years and say that this is a symptom of underfunding in the education system?
Well, I'll pass it over to the minister once again, but that's furthest from the truth. And really, it's unfortunate that you've been misinformed. Go back all the way to when we took office, 2018. Look at every single budget moving forward. And then look at a different budget. Look at the infrastructure budget that the previous government closed 600 schools. 600 schools. We're building 30 billion with a B, $30 billion worth of schools all around. And, I skipped my teleprompter. Maybe I should pull it back up and rattle off all the investments that we're making in education. Each year, per student, funding is going up. Do we see a decline this year of approximately over 50,000 students? Population is dropping overall the whole province. So we'll address that. But Paul, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. So we came in office in June 2018. Shortly after that, we were faced with the global health and economic crisis through COVID. Much of that learning went back home. The province of Ontario had to pivot for much of the first mandate and into the second mandate with respect to how we delivered education. Coming out of that, we then went back into the classrooms to talk to teachers. What are the challenges that you're facing with educators? And they said, this is one of the challenges. We hear about it a lot. There are some funding, there are some resources that have been given to our boards to provide this level, to provide funding. On average, about 300, but it doesn't always get to the teachers. And this is what teachers have said to us. Give us some more resources for our classroom. Look, an education system isn't static. It just doesn't stop. Right? It's always evolving to try to get better. This is something specifically for teachers coming out of the challenges that we've had. And look, you look at the system, like frankly, Bill 33, before Bill 33, it was very hard for a minister to go in, Minister of Education, to go in and see what was going on in boards that were in a surplus situation. We have a board in Northern Ontario, for crying out loud, that had a $3.7 million surplus. No reason for us to go in, and yet educators and students are in a half-demolished building because trustees couldn't get their act together. So this is about putting resources back into the classroom, focusing on educators, making sure that they have the tools they need to succeed. And if 3 years from now we hear that something else is required for our teachers to help them succeed, then we'll deal with that 3 years from now, right? But it is an always evolving system. But I think sometimes we forget the challenges that Ontario has faced since we came into office, right? And this really is hearing from teachers and educators said, look, great, you've done all of this work. We appreciate the back to basics. We appreciate the supports, but now we need this little extra help to help us succeed and get our job done better. And we're going to do that. We're going to continue to listen. If there's more that's needed, then we'll step up and do more.
But so we have expanded over 41 schools. Let me just, I'm going to be very frank, pull down where we expanded 41 schools. I can't have this all memorized, but 41 new and expanded schools and communities across the province, adding nearly 18,000 student spaces in 5 French language schools. Here in Etobicoke, we're building the new Catholic school down at Buttonwood Hill and new Etobicoke City Center Elementary School, renovating Bishop Allen Academy Catholic Secondary School to make sure every single student gets the education they deserve. So we're going to continue looking moving forward. But student success would not be possible without the 85,000 elementary school teachers who dedicate their lives, not just in the classroom, outside the classroom as well. And as the finance minister said, I don't think there's a person out there that doesn't remember a teacher that's impacted their lives one way or another. And again, we're investing over $30 billion over the next 10 years to build more schools, cleaner schools, more modern schools. And that's what we're focused on. Next question.
Premier, question.